All right, everyone, the legacy media continues to underperform. This time, CNN is actually cutting most of its London bureau staff, like the people, the correspondents that actually have to go out and do everything. They're basically ceding the UK coverage, I guess, or something like that. Now, of course, you got to understand. When you look at the legacy media's decline, it's far more complex than just they're losing ratings on TV. The one bright spot for them, of course, is that they've got Silicon Valley literally pushing their shitty material on everyone. Like their priority creators on YouTube, their pages get better algorithmic results on Facebook, stuff like that. So there's a lot of attempt to sort of normalize the old, boring, shitty content onto a new platform. So they are growing online. Although not as quickly as independent commentary. So they're still losing ultimately, but it's a little bit less dire for them on that end. As far as cable though goes, and cable, newsprint stuff, they're shrinking. But CNN's parent firm is different. CNN's parent firm still has a European presence, even if CNN specifically has to cut its bureau staff. Apparently, this must be the ultimate embarrassment. Some of these people are being fired and told to reapply so that they can reposition them. I'm not sure why they'll just shuffle them around. It's like they're already fucking working for you. What's the fucking point? Oh, I know. It's because then they're a new employee. You can pay them less. CNN is trying to be a cheapskate. It's sort of like the voluntary. What fucking term did they give it? A while ago, I don't even think it was a month, they were basically getting people to voluntarily quit their jobs to take like some sort of payoff and then leave. And they were like, no, this isn't layoffs at all. It's totally voluntary. Of course, if not enough people take up the voluntary you must leave now thing, then we'll start laying people off. But we don't want to do that because the optics are bad. That's basically CNN's problem. It's always funny when things like this happen. They deserve it. The legacy media is terrible. They're lying to everyone all the time. I don't understand why anybody in the UK would want to interact with CNN anyway. Basically, this is U.S. news, but this is the European arm of it, and so they're just chopping off one of their many parasitic tentacles, I suppose. It's very, very interesting to watch them slowly decline. It's even funnier when, because of the advice of their PR people, they won't admit that it's a layoff. Oh, it's voluntary. We're not giving anyone pink slips. We're just saying that people can accept this and take money and leave because, we're not totally not downsizing. Yeah, we're going to be smaller, but don't call that downsizing. I love to play the linguistic propaganda game. But anyway, this is highly relevant as well. Because you got to understand a lot is happening within, especially UK politics right now that's highly significant, extremely newsworthy, especially with regards to the upsurging of the Brexit Party. The next general elections over there are going to be a free-for-all. It's going to be hilarious even watching from over here. And CNN, I guess, will have a much reduced overall presence in that, which is probably good. Like, the people of England should be cheering this, the fact that this is happening. Now, if only your BBC would lay everyone off and stop existing along with, The Guardian and some of these other groups that are also terrible. Your media actually, ironically, is worse than ours. And CNN, that's not saying much for ours because CNN and MSNBC exist. And Fox, in all honesty. People still try to give them a pass. Oh, but Tucker Carlson is different. This multi-millionaire penthouse dweller is totally different from the other one. He has a couple views that I happen to agree with. His hair plugs and cap teeth sort of lifestyle is acceptable because he has one or two views that are kind of sort of libertarian. Look, become a John Stossel worshiper if you want to go down that route with Fox or something. But watching CNN die is funnier because CNN has always tried to position itself, like in the past, as being sort of the standard-bearing liberal network. And what's happened in the hyper-polarized climate of today is MSNBC totally outflanked them because CNN continued on to the further left because they're like, oh, the progressive upswelling, we must have these young viewers because, our average viewer is, 63 years old, I think, or something like that. I think with Fox it was 69, I think CNN was 67. With MSNBC it was 63. So, not exactly spring chickens, no offense to anybody. But MSNBC came in and drove a wedge between Fox and CNN, really, because they're like, oh, well, we were the far-left network. Okay, we'll move more to the center and represent maybe the business Democrat and center writers that don't like Trump as much, and we'll sort of be in that block. That worked. MSNBC and Fox are now competing for number one. Again, not that that's saying much. If you look at the actual viewership totals on cable, anyway, they can't even compete with certain YouTubers. They have real problems. If you were to have as many, and look, these are networks that have billion-dollar budget or hundreds of millions of dollars to pump into things. They have dozens of different pundits and shows and stuff on their networks and stuff. But there are like small groups of YouTubers alone that can beat the shit out of them ratings-wise, and are way more popular and engaged by people, and way more interesting to watch, which is why that happens. CNN is fighting for a shrinking pond. They may be one of the big fish in it, but I mean, they're still, eventually they're going to asphyxiate. There's not going to be enough oxygen left in the water, not enough room for all the fishies. They'll have to cannibalize one another. And up until the last fish in the pond, before it dries up completely, that fish will feel mighty dominant for a while, then starve itself due to lack of competition. That's how cable is going to end up, and it's going to be hysterical, and CNN will be one of the first casualties. This is, I mean, they already kind of are now, aren't they? If they're cutting, most of their London bureau staff, that's kind of important, even if only for the prestige of, like, oh, well, we've got a London bureau, look, it's very posh, and here we have our correspondent from Warwickshire, and here's the correspondent from Leeds, and stuff like that. Even just for the bravado, the sense of having power because you have that bureau. Huge optics loss for them. And people don't want to watch the loser network anyway. Like, if they're gonna watch anyone on cable, it'll be like MSNBC or Fox. They're not watching fucking CNN. The CNN is basically, it's propped up by the existence of airports and doctors' offices in this country. I guess people in the airports, they'd rather, unless you go to Texas. Down in Texas, they play nonstop Fox News. I remember that when I was down there, it was like night and day. You leave here, or in Newark or something, it's all CNN. Once you get to Texas, or I think in Florida, it's all Fox News. It's hysterical how that works, actually. It's like they're trying to appease people and keep them in an echo chamber. They should reverse it. Airports in blue states should be forced to play Fox News. And airports in red states should be forced to do CNN or MSNBC. Or even better, none of them should be broadcast at all. They should just have nonstop randomized YouTube reels of the day's coverage. That'd be funnier. It'd be more interesting. Then people would want to fly more. Maybe they should experiment with that. Especially younger people. That's about all. Peace out.